All right, y'all. We're back here again for another day of another week of sermon recaps. So this is my second video doing this, where I basically just talk about what I got from the sermon that I just came back from, right? And so today we went over. Main pastor was back today, so awesome experience here because I've been at an internship right now in North Carolina, and so the main pastor, I got to hear him for the first time this whole summer. I got like 3 weeks left of my internship, but it was great. Presence of the Lord is like insane. It was insane today, and the worship team's always on point for sure. But yeah, but we dived into Psalm 77, and the main message of the day was we do a lot of basically saying like that's what I thought, right? When we need to be doing more of that's what God thought for us, right? But we don't see the full pictures of it, right? Because we're too clogged up in our minds to thinking so much of I thoughts of like I can do this all by myself and all this stuff like that, right? We forget to put God back into those thought process, because if we keep relying on ourselves of saying I thought, that means we're gonna start relying more on thinking our thoughts are our God, and when we know our God is Jesus Christ, right? So we need to. It's kind of a process of renewing our minds for that too. Romans 12 verse 2. How were you talking about that? So that kind of carried over from the last sermon recap we were talking about. So then we go. So let's read. You start out the sermon with verse 19 in Psalm 77. So which says here, your way went through the sea, and your path through the vast water, but your footprints were unseen. Okay, so we'll just keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that verse, right? But basically, some pointers I had was like, we say that's what I thought, but we say what I thought, right? Kind of like saying, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Like, we have our own thoughts, right? And then we forget to, we have our own thoughts, maybe like when it comes to people or something like that, but we forget to think about what the thoughts of God would want us to do in those certain situations, right? Like judging people, a process of that, admitting to when we're wrong, right? Admitting to that and humbling ourselves to admit that we need the Lord, right? For these things that we're trying to do on an everyday basis, right? So process of that, that's something I took. I also said here, some of us might have the devil might have us trapped in I thoughts, right? And maybe those I thoughts could refer to like, you don't think you could do this, like a certain thing, or you don't think you'll ever recover from a certain thing, or you don't think you'll get better with your walk with Christ because of the things you've done in the past, right? And those are all I thoughts, right? But the Lord is like, no, I'm right here, and I still love you. Even though you might have did that sin and that sin and that sin, right? He's still here waiting on you with open arms. He still loves you, right? And just how we were just talking about 1 John, the past couple of days, right? And his love, like, do y'all see how big of the love he has for us? It's unimaginable. You can't even imagine how much love he has for us, like, and the way he expresses it to us, and the way he shows grace through his love, right? But the thing is, we shouldn't take his grace for granted, though. We can't just continue to do sins and then acknowledge that we're fine. I can make up with it for God 5 years down the road. No, because he's still in control of your life. There's people that told themselves today, like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna get right with God tomorrow, and then they might not even live to see tomorrow. So we have to take every day with a grain of salt, right? We have to take every day literally, right? Like, I'm gonna do this now, right? I'm gonna stop procrastinating, because we have a process of procrastinating a lot of stuff. I procrastinate a lot of stuff, y'all. Like, y'all ain't the only ones, but like, one thing I'm not gonna procrastinate about is about God, right? There's no procrastinating about that, because he is in total control of our life, right? But he loves all. He loves us. And if you're breathing right now, he still has purpose and he still has a plan for you, right? So don't take that for granted. Let's get in the word, or let's let's talk to somebody. Let's get in some community groups. You know, let's do what we can to strengthen our relationship with God, right? And then let's see. One message he was saying like despise is like one of the things that the enemy tries to attack us with our thoughts, saying like, which I kind of mentioned a little bit, right? Saying like hurt, basically like hurt minus hope means like never getting better, right? So just trying to trap us in thoughts and saying like we're not gonna ever recover from what we just did, and the Lord would never forgive us, right? When in reality, that's just the enemy talking to you, right? The Lord would never say something like that or want you to even think about that, right? There's only one person that wants you to think about that, right? And that's the enemy, that's Satan, right? And you know, the bright side is that's like, yeah, we might be hurt, we might be struggling, right? Like, you know, was it? I think it's Romans 8:28. That's like talking about like how he loves us and how he already knew like our struggles, and he still proceeds to love us, right? He knows our struggles, and he still proceeds to create us, right? And he still had plans for us, right? You know, just like with me doing these videos for y'all right now, spreading the word, he still had a plan for me, even though I might not have known him like I do now, like a couple years ago, right? And he still had a plan for me, right? So we still have purpose. We still need to wake up knowing that, right? And so what else I got from here? Okay. Well, another note I had said was every thought that starts with me doesn't end well without God. Doesn't end well without God, right? So stop saying these me thoughts and all this stuff like that we continue to have on a daily basis, and let's include God in all these thoughts that we have in our life decisions, life paths, right? Because his plan is better than our plans, right? Jeremiah 29:11, right? And then I think he went to verse 10. So verse 10 says here, so I say I am grieved that the right hand of my Most High has changed, right? And I think that was just basically just a callback to when we're not, so we've gone through I thought process, but then we've gone through then I thought, and the then I thought process of you is a process with you including God in it, right? It's like you're fully thought about it, right? You fully thinking, right? You're on the right mindset, right? And so you're including God in every decision that you're trying to do in this life, right? And then let's see what else I had. I said about that, yeah. Stop thinking about your hands, right, and leave it in God's hands, right? We try to do so many things that we on our own, but we need to humble ourselves for God and let Him work, right? And that could refer to maybe trying to get payback on somebody that might have did something to you, right? But we need to leave stuff like that in God's hands, right? And then I think what else I had said. Just because you think it's again. Oh, this one right here. So like you might have thought about something, right? A thought process, and then you think like, okay, yeah, I thought about that decision again. That doesn't mean you got through that decision, right? That doesn't mean you've been through it yet. That doesn't mean you have been fully thought about it, right? With God, right? Just because I think I think about smoking or drinking or whatever sin it could be, like, and then I'm gonna think about it again, but I think I'm done now. So since I thought about it a second time, right? That doesn't mean you went through it fully thinking about it with God, right? And so, yeah, that was all I had for notes. But let's just go back to verse 19, which says here, your way went through the sea and your path through the vast water, but your footprints were unseen. God is always working, y'all, every time. Y'all might not be able to see it, right? That's what I got from this verse. Y'all might not be able to see it, right? Visually see that God is still working in your life and still has a plan for you. You might not be able to visually see it, but boy, when you come full circle and you start to see how the way God worked in your life every single day till now, right now, where we're sitting, where I'm talking right now, and you get to see back then how God was still continuously working in your life, and it's a blessing, y'all. He's working your life right now as we speak, y'all. So thank the Lord, y'all. But that's all I got today for the sermon recap. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I love y'all. Jesus loves y'all more. And I'll get a daily verse video out for y'all in a little bit. But peace.